I'm Dr. Kristen R. Bromley. This video series, which is part of my online music academy, specifically accompanies Chords and Harmony Books 1 and 2 from my Method Book series. Like all my books, this selection is available to purchase through Amazon and Google Play. For help, see the links in the description below. In the videos which are part of this specific course, I progress through the lessons in Chords and Harmony Books 1 and 2, explaining and demonstrating concepts and playing each of the songs and exercises contained therein, so you can hear how they sound and play them right along with me. You are of course welcome to view these videos with or without the book, but with the book you can work through all the songs and exercises, and in the process learn all the various types of chords used to play music on the guitar and master your chord playing abilities. Alright, let's get to jamming in this lesson. Hi there, welcome back. Here we are in lesson 26. In this lesson we're talking about augmented and diminished triads. So, new type of chord. We're already kind of familiar with major chords and minor chords. We learned about those triads clear back in the very first lesson. Major chords having the root, the major third, and the perfect fifth. Minor chords having the root, the minor third, and the perfect fifth. This perfect fifth thing we haven't played around with yet, and that's what we do when we're playing with augmented and diminished chords. We're changing up that fifth. So, let's look at augmented first. An augmented chord, another way of describing it is saying that it's a major chord with an augmented fifth, so a sharp 5. There on page 176 you can see this written out. I've just written out the numbers, so we have the root, the third, and the sharp 5, or plus 5. Plus is also sometimes used. On the chord symbol for augmented chords, we're going to have a plus sign next to the root, or we could have in parentheses a sharp 5, or aug period, AUG period, as an abbreviation for augmented. So, sharp 5 sounds. So we got the root, the third, and instead of the natural fifth, we have a sharp 5. Just like so. And if I double that root, we get that C. There's a C sharp augmented. The one that's written in the example in the book it sounds just like so, but I've added the root on top of it as well. And when we get to the chord symbol, we could have a sharp 5. Okay, so by comparison then, the diminished chords. Diminished chords are like, another way of describing it would be to say that it's a minor chord with a diminished fifth, or a flat 5. So we have the root, the flatted third, and the flatted fifth. Root, minor third or flatted third, diminished fifth or flatted fifth. And that creates a diminished sound. The chord symbol for these have a little circle next to the root, or sometimes you might see an abbreviation for diminished, DIM period, for instance. Now, with both of these types of chords, we can add sevenths, and we're going to learn about, for example, fully diminished seventh chords in the next lesson, in lesson 27. And then in lesson 28, we're going to learn about augmented fifths and diminished fifths, sharp 5, flat 5s, with other types of seventh chords. So any type of seventh chord that we're altering the fifth on, we're going to talk about in that lesson 28. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look now at these shapes for these types of chords. In this book, it's written down, there are some examples for the movable shapes, and there's examples for the first position shapes. Sometimes we end up having to play these in first position, and sometimes we play these in the movable positions as well. So we're going to work on them with both. In all these cases, it's kind of showing you the maximum amount of places that you can put your fingers in first position, and even somewhat with the movable shapes. But a lot of times, most of the time when I play these chords, I kind of minimalize things a little bit, and I don't necessarily play all the voicings. I might just get 3 or 4 notes in my voicing. So let's take a look at them. We got A major. So our fifth for the A chord is the open string and then our second finger there. So that has to go up. And I will a lot of times just not play the top string at all. Do a little bar that catches the second and third string, mute the top string, and grab like so. So I could have, or I could have my A barred and then just grab it. It's kind that I usually would grab that one. We're going to take a look just at first position shapes here and working with these progressions 1, number exercises 1, 2, and 4, and then we'll come back and do all the movable shapes. So for exercise 1, we need that A augmented. So we're looking at that one. We're also going to need the D augmented. So for this one, for our D chord, our 5th is what we're usually playing with our index finger on that 3rd string, and we're just going to go 1 fret higher. And that's kind of a nice little shift. We're kind of used to this shape of having our index and middle finger configured in this sort of position because we do it for the E chord, the A minor, D minor 6. Now it's just 1 fret higher and it becomes D augmented. The other one that we're going to need for this first exercise is the E augmented chord. So we have our B string, our open B string, and our 2nd fret that plays the B. Those are our 5ths, so those have to be raised. With this one, you can reconfigure your whole hand and grab all 6 strings. To me, it's a little muddy. My preference is actually just to play the top 4 on an E augmented. So it's like fingering the A minor major 7th shape, actually, that we've learned previously, but growing from the E note. It's the same fingering, and I prefer the sound of just those 4 strings, but we can play all 6. As I'm playing the exercise, I will probably just play the top 4 strings on that one because I think with these augmented chords, it can get really muddy sometimes, and we want to kind of avoid that muddy sound, or we've lost the whole point of having these here. Okay, so if we look at number 1, we're just going to go down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. So we're going to have the E chord, and then we're going to have to switch to that E augmented. Now, if you're grabbing the whole thing, then you'll get all those fingers in there. If you're just grabbing the part that I did, then the top 4 strings, then we're just bringing those over. But you could also grab your pinky. I just think the bottom 2 kind of muddy it up. So let's practice switching back and forth between E and E augmented. So we have E, and then we have the E augmented. Go back to E. We got the E augmented. Got it back to E. We got the E augmented. We got the E. We got the E augmented. We got the E augmented. Okay, let's practice the A to the A augmented. And I'm muting the top string. You wouldn't have to. You could grab it. But I kind of think, again, it helps to not muddy things up. So I just keep off that top string a lot of times. Grab the A to the A augmented. And the A to the A augmented. Okay, let's do the D. D. That D augmented. We got the D to the D augmented. D to the D augmented. Alright, let's play this exercise. Pop music progression S7. 1, 2, ready. And we have E to the E augmented, to the E augmented. We got the A to the A augmented, to the A to the A augmented, Maybe we'll take it just a little bit faster. I won't shout them out this time, but we'll just play it. So you got 1, 2, ready, and... Okay, let's take a look at the C augmented, the F augmented, and the G augmented. So the C augmented, kind of an interesting fact about the augmented chords is that they're the interval of a major third apart. So if I'm going from the C to the E or the root to the major third, then it's a major third apart. The major third to the augmented fifth is a major third apart. If I go from the augmented fifth, a major third, I'm back to the root. So there's a symmetrical nature to this chord, C, E, G, C, E, G. What that means is that actually any note in the chord can be the root because they're all spaced exactly the same. And when we get to the fifth, we come back around to the root again by going a major third. So that's kind of cool. So we're going to see some similar shapes. And I point that out because here we have the C augmented. It's actually the same as the E augmented. And we could play the C augmented the same as the E augmented, all 6 of the strings, but grab the open string on top. Now the example shown there for C augmented also says, hey, guess what? You can grab that G sharp on top if you wanted to. I am less inclined to grab that G sharp on top, but it is there, and it's pointed out if you wanted to. And you could also do, as I said, the E augmented shape is the same, only if we start on C instead, we're playing C augmented. So it's just like that open one, and in this case, I might play that top string. A lot of times for me when it comes to playing C augmented, I'm just going to grab a little bar and mute the top string, not play it at all. So I'm just going to go from C to C augmented, just like so, and I'll just mute it. And we'll have the doubling of the root, but the most important thing is this root 3 sharp 5. So let's practice going back and forth. You can use any of the versions you'd like. We'll do C to C augmented, C to the C augmented, C to C augmented, C to C augmented, C to C augmented, C to C augmented. Okay, let's look at F augmented now. So with the F, F-A-C-E would be the major 7. We're just, that C needs to become sharp, so to get that in there. So we're going to go F, C to the F. This one, both of these are going to sound the same when we're voicing them. Root 3, sharp 5, root. So on top, root 3, sharp 5, root. And I usually leave it there, although I could just choose to play the 3 notes. Which also works. You'll notice that the A augmented and the F augmented have the same fingerings, basically. If I choose to play over the A, I could play it, but in the case of the F augmented, I kind of like having that one on top, that root again. But those ones are symmetrical. Those ones are in the same family. They're both notes in the chord F and A. C C sharp, if we had it in first position, would also be the other one that would be there. Okay, let's practice back and forth between F and F augmented. F augmented. F augmented. F augmented. F augmented. F augmented. Okay, and then on to the G augmented. So the G one, we got this down low. This one's not my favorite. I'd be more inclined to play G augmented as a movable chord, taking that F up to the G, or playing one of the movable the other movable options. I'm less likely to play this first position one just because it's so low and it's kind of muddy. If I do play it, I probably won't play all the way to the top string. I'll probably just focus on those bottom strings. Okay, so I would have G to G augmented, back to G. For me, when I'm playing that G augmented, I'm staying mostly on the low strings, sticking to kind of that same root 3 sharp 5 root that we were type of voicing, rather than getting that third in there again. Okay, so that prepares us to do number 2 on page 178. Let's flip on over there and we'll do that one. Number 2. So we're going to have down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Same as number 1. So you got 1, 2, ready. We've got the G to the G augmented. Augmented. We got the C to the C augmented, the C to the C augmented, F to the F augmented, to the F augmented, C augmented, F augmented, G augmented. Alright, so we'll do it again, and this time I won't add any verbiage in there. So you got 1, 2, ready, and okay, so we'll flip back on over to page 177 and take a look at the diminished shapes now. Okay, so here we are on page 177. We're taking a look at our diminished chords. So our A diminished, it's kind of like flipping our A major 7th around. Now instead of our index finger going over the other two strings are going down one. We need to make sure and mute that top string. So this shape our fingers have made before. It's like a D chord, only we're on different strings and at different frets. So you get an A diminished there. Let's go back and forth between A and A diminished. And I'm going down, down, up, up, down, up. take a look at the D diminished now. For D, our index and middle fingers got to go down a fret, and we get the D diminished. So the sound of that minor third and the flatted fifth. So let's go back and forth, D to D diminished. D to D diminished. D to D diminished. Okay, so the E diminished now. Now this one's a little awkward. We could go E minor and flat the fifth. And we could just play it on the low 4 strings, but we can't have that open B string. It has to be muted. So the way it's written there for you is up on the high strings, the top 4 strings. So with this one, you have the root, the flatted fifth. To sort of cancel out the open B string, we're doubling up on the root, and then we got the minor third on top. Kind of a big stretch for that one. You could choose to just mute that second string and play just the 3 and with that string muted, you have all the essentials. If you don't want to double up on the root, that's an okay example. Otherwise, you can just double that root. Now, for me, most of the time when I play a diminished chord, I a lot of times will throw in the diminished 7th as well, which we're going to learn about in lesson 27. But for now, in our thorough nature, we'll go ahead and we'll practice with that E diminished. So we got E, and then the E diminished. We got the E diminished. We got E. We got the E diminished. We got E. We got E diminished. E diminished. Do a couple where I mute that extra string, which is probably the way that I would be more likely to play, because I think it just kind of gets in the way of the color we're going for. You can pick which way you'd like to do it. Okay, so let's flip on back over to page 178 and we'll do number 4. Okay, so here we are on page 178 with number 4. We were practicing on between the major. We're going to be using the minor chord, going back and forth with these diminished here. We'll have the A minor. We'll go ahead and go for it, and then we'll have D minor, sorry, to the D diminished. It's okay to grab that one with your pinky if you want to. You also could choose to mute the second string in the same fashion that I mentioned with the E string. It's actually the same voicing, so kind of interesting. We just get to use the open strings on that one. Okay, so here you go. 1, we'll go down, down, up, up, down, up. A 1, 2, ready, and E minor to the E diminished. E minor to the E diminished. A minor to the A diminished. A minor to the A diminished. To the D diminished. D minor to the D diminished. A minor to the A diminished. D minor to the D diminished. E minor to the E diminished. And A minor. So I'll do it one more time without talking through it. So you got 1, 2, ready, and. Okay, so we'll take a look at the movable shapes now. Let's flip back over to page 176. Okay, so here we are on page 176 taking a look at the movable shapes for the augmented chords. If we use G as our 6th string example, making our G become augmented. So, a couple ways you can visualize this. It's the same as the F augmented shape up to G, though we're barring over and catching that low root. And you could choose actually to just play the top 4 strings. That one works, the F shape as is, works as a movable form. But if you want that low root on, then we come in and you can catch both the top and the bottom string, or you can mute the top string. But we have to mute the 5th string. So if we go back and forth between G to that G augmented, we'd have G, the G augmented, G to the G augmented, G to the G augmented. It's really not too bad. Just rearranging our fingers there. G to the G augmented. Okay. But for that, in place of that 6th string form, you could use just the top 4 strings if you wanted to. Alright, let's take a look at the 5th string form then. You actually have a couple options. One is that you can use the C augmented form. So I could have C to C augmented, C to C augmented. So that's a viable option. A lot of times when I'm playing a 5th string form and I need that augmented shape, I'll just grab that form. But we're going to take a look at this other one because it's new. So if I take my C bar chord and I want to make it augmented, then I'm taking and my finger, and I need what's here to go up a fret, just like our A shape did. Well, now I can do that. Some people could actually probably reach with their pinky. I can't. I have to lift off, redo my fingers, and grab it. So C to this one. Now I'm going to do this one just because I do use it sometimes. And we've practiced the other one already. If you just can't get this one and you want to use the 5th string form from the C shape, that's A-okay. So if we take a look then at number 1 on page 177, we can put these into practice. So we'll start with the E, and then we'll be to the E augmented, and then we'll use A to the A augmented, and we'll have the D to the D augmented in this particular key. So just practicing these ones in this positions, we'd have E to that E augmented, or you could do E to the E augmented. Either way, I'm going to go E to E augmented, just like so. E to E augmented. Back and forth just a little bit. E to E augmented. E to the E augmented. Okay, let's practice the A one then. A is going to go to the A augmented. Now if you wanted to, you could use just the 4-string form. And you'd have it just like so. I'm going to use the 6th string, just like that. Okay, let's go ahead and play it. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. That'll be A. To the D. Got the A, D, E, let's flip on over to page 178 and do number 2. Okay, so here we are on page 178 with number 2. Grab it down low here, G and G augmented, so G and G augmented, C and the C augmented, unless you're grabbing the other 5-string form. And then F gets a little low, so we'll just go up here with the F and the F augmented. Now you could actually play this with G and G augmented, C and C augmented, F and F augmented. It could all be played up there. You can do either one, but I'm going to start out low. I may finish high. We'll go. We'll just go with it. 1, 2, ready, and we got G to the G augmented, G to the G augmented. We got C to the C augmented, C to the C augmented, and F to the F augmented, F to the F augmented, and then C, C augmented, F, F augmented, G, G augmented, and C. Alright, let's do number 3. This one's going to go around the circle of fourths, which is something we've done some of. So C to F to B flat, E flat. Just like so, and we'll do these augmented shapes. So these are going to be some odd sounds, but that's okay. It'll be good for us. I'm going to go with da-dat. Just kind of like how we've done before with our jazzy type thing. So I'll just give it a good... Gives you time to switch between chords. So you go 1, 2, ready, and we got the C augmented. We'll do each one twice. Then we got the F augmented. We got the B flat. We got the E flat. We got the A flat. We got the D flat. We got the G flat. We got the B. We got the E. We got the A. We got the D. We got the G, and we got the C. Alright, let's do it once per chord now. So you got 1, 2, ready, and F, E flat, E flat, A flat, flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, and C. There's sort of a symmetrical nature there you might have noted, I don't know. But these fingers really stay the same. It's just a matter of where the root is in relation to it. So with the 6th string root, it's so, and with the 5th string root, it's a fret higher or fret lower, which is kind of interesting. But that's because of that symmetrical nature. Okay, let's flip back to page 177 and look at the diminished shapes now. Okay, so here we are on page 177, taking a look at these diminished shapes, these movable shapes. I'm going to use A as my 6th string root. Now, with the E shape from first position, you could use that one if you wanted to as a movable shape off the 4th string. Compared to the 6th string, it's going to be 2 frets higher. So if I was playing, the equivalent of what I'd be playing is my diminished off the A string or the A fret, the 5th fret there. I would be doing that starting where my pinky was. Because we've already done that one, I'm going to look at this from the one that's written there. So the bulk of it is these 3 fingers, index, middle, ring. But the trick is reaching for your pinky, grabbing the doubled root. So we get 2 roots on the bottom, and then we go. We of course could have a big stretched low thing. On those low strings, I don't really love that. Now, if I wanted to just play 4 strings of a diminished chord, I could get rid of the 6-string root altogether and just play the three notes without getting the root on the top. But I can also put the root on the top. So, and that gives me yet another option. There's lots of different ways we could play it, but I recommend kind of grabbing the 6-string form that's there, or the 5th string, or using off the 4th string, that E shape from first position, from the open position or first position chords. So, but that's kind of a big stretch for the pinky. You could mute that string, but I find it kind of tricky to mute that string as well, that 4th string. So I'm grabbing index, middle, ring, and pinky. So I have the 6th string form there. The 5th string form I think is pretty friendly. This is just the A shape, and so it's kind of friendly. Just got to move your fingers around and mute that top string. Let's practice going back and forth a little bit between the two string sets. So we're going to have the A diminished, and then we're going to have the D diminished, and then we'll go back to the A. Then to the D, back to the A, and then to the D. Alright, let's flip on over to page 178 and we'll do number 4 now. Okay, so here we are on page 178 with number 4. We need to take a little bit of a look at going between the minor chord to the diminished. We haven't practiced that yet. E minor to the diminished in this bar chord form. So you kind of have to rearrange your fingers. If we go down, down, up, down, up, then we switch. We don't really have to bar with the diminished, so you can lift up on that one. We got the E minor to the diminished, E minor to the diminished. Let's look at from the A minor, and then we got to grab, so that one's a big change. So the A minor to the switch. So we'll practice this one. We got 1, 2, ready, got the A minor, back to A minor, we got the A minor, let's do number 4 now, using that strumming pattern. So you got 1, 2, ready, and the diminished, back to E minor, we got the diminished, now you got the A minor, to the diminished, A minor, to the diminished, going on to D minor, the diminished, D minor to the diminished, we got the A minor to the diminished, D minor to the diminished, E minor to the diminished, and A minor. Some tricky things to do. It's a lot of switching, a lot of finger control. All right, number 5 then. This one's around the circle of 4th, so we'll just go ahead and use our do-dot pattern. And we'll start off by doing it as if it was written with 2 measures per chord. So you got 1, 2, ready, and Now to the F. You got B flat. To the E flat. A flat. Big stretch. D flat. G flat. B. E. A. D. G. And then we end with C. Alright, let's do it as if it was one chord per bar. So as written, 1, 2, ready, and the C diminished. To F. To B flat. To E flat. To A flat. To D flat. To G flat. To B. To E. To A. To D. To G. And we end there on C. It's kind of a funny way to end. Kind of a diminished sound. Alright, so hopefully you're having a great time still learning the guitar. These augmented and diminished chords appear from time to time in music, so it's good to know them and to be able to grab them when we need to. So in the next lesson, lesson 27, we'll be doing what we call fully diminished seventh chords. Those are diminished seventh chords. Those are diminished triads with a diminished seventh. So we're going to learn what a diminished seventh is in that next lesson, do some exercises with those. And I actually play diminished seventh chords more than just the diminished triads. So hope you're having a great day. We'll catch you in the next one. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For help with other guitar playing skills, check out more of my method books and the numerous lessons available as part of my online academy here on YouTube. You can find more information about me and my products at kristenbromley.com. Take care.